Hey there, I'm Paul Hawxhurst of Canon U.S.A. I want to take a moment to delve into some of the stunning video capabilities of both the EOS R1 and the EOS R5 Mark II, which bear more than a passing resemblance to many of the features found in our professional cinema EOS line of cameras. There's a lot to cover, so let's get started. In our primary launch video for the EOS R5 Mark II, we introduced its basic video features and some of the important specs. In this video, I'm going to take a deeper dive into some of the new creative additions for professional camera operators and high-end video content creators alike. I want to show you how the R5 Mark II and R1 cameras, as compared to previous generation mirrorless models, there is a much greater emphasis on video features and their similarity to cinema EOS cameras such as the EOS C70 and C400. To begin, I need to talk about the inclusion of the custom picture menu, and in particular, Canon Log 2 into both of these cameras. The custom picture menu gives you a full selection of preset gamma curve and color space pairings, as well as the ability to edit and modify or paint these options. You can also create your own gamma and color space combinations and save them as a preset to a user slot. This mirrors one of the most powerful creative tools utilized by cinema EOS users and allows you to define how the camera captures your video images. Get started by turning custom picture menu to on, then choosing from a list of presets. By leaving custom picture menu off, you'll utilize the picture styles as are applied by the photo side of the camera. These are good options for video requiring quick post turnaround and for shoots where you'll be mixing stills and video. However, if you choose to use the CP menu options, you will access a much wider range of image and color capabilities as offered by the sensor. The epitome of that is our venerable Canon Log 2, which we've included for the first time in an R-series camera. C-Log 2 is a curve designed to fully express the 16 total stops of dynamic range that the sensor can offer. When an image using C-Log 2 is viewed on a normal monitor, it appears very desaturated and low contrast. That's because the dynamic range greatly exceeds the display capabilities of those monitors, even on the built-in LCD screens and the EVFs of these cameras. Therefore, you can utilize the included View Assist LUT, which will apply a Rec. 709 transform to the image, making it easier for you to make exposure and color decisions based on an approximation of your final look. Because Canon Log 2 is capturing the entire dynamic range of the sensor, you will get more information in your highlights, as well as increased shadow detail. While this increase in shadow information comes with an increase in shadow noise, you'll be able to control this with the vast flexibility Canon Log 2 offers you in post-production. Furthermore, as with previous R-series cameras, Canon Log 3 remains available as well. This is an extremely viable gamma option for high dynamic range capture with a quick post workflow in mind. The custom picture menu choices are rounded out by two Rec. 709 gammas, Canon 709 and Standard 709, and two high dynamic range or HDR gammas, HLG and PQ. Canon 709 is our newest Rec. 709 curve, introduced into our Cinema EOS and XF series of cameras last year. It extends highlight protection well over the standard 709 gamma, while creating a pleasing look for your midtones and shadows. Choosing a Rec. 709 option will net you a what you see is what you get workflow, as Rec. 709 is the current display standard for most computer monitors and televisions. Exposure levels and color can be determined by looking at the image on your LCD screen, or when the image is output to an external monitor. These gammas are the most constrained options in terms of dynamic range and color space, and offer very little post-production flexibility, but they are the quickest workflows from capture to delivery. Also included are two preset HDR gammas, PQ and HLG, which are useful if you are shooting for a live HDR broadcast. To further help facilitate these new gamma options, we've also included several exposure monitoring tools in the forms of CBRS, false color, and on the R5 Mark II, a waveform monitor, all of which are also currently found in cinema EOS cameras. CBRS display a diagonal pattern of lines on your screen in areas of overexposure. It is a visual way to warn you when your highlights are starting to blow out. However, you can customize the IRE percentage of when the CBRS patterns begin to show on screen, giving you control at the point in your measured exposure you'd like them to appear. False color is a very popular form of exposure monitoring used in the cinema industry. When enabled, it overlays a palette of colors, each representing specific levels of exposure. Examples of such are a bright green, which appears on areas of your image that are at 18% gray reflectance, while a vivid red will let you know that you have overexposed beyond any highlight retention. The legend for false color is easily accessible in the camera menu and can be assigned to a button for quick recall. On the R5 Mark II, a broadcast and digital cinema industry standard, the waveform monitor is available. Waveform is an on-screen display that visually shows you the input signal of your camera, plotted on a scale from 0 to 100 IRE. Areas of underexposure in your scene will dive towards 0 on the IRE scale, while overexposed and blown out portions will reach for 100. Knowing both the white and shadow clipping IRE values, as well as the 18% gray value of the gamma you're shooting in, is very helpful in fully utilizing the waveform to get correct exposure. Let's discuss the recording options available in these cameras. First, you have internal RAW recording, which comes in two flavors, standard and light. These RAW files can be properly developed by Canon's Cinema RAW developer for transcoding to working codecs such as DPX, OpenEXR, and ProRes. In terms of resolution, the EOS R1 records 6K RAW at 6000 by 3164, while the EOS R5 Mark II captures 8K at 8192 by 4320 lines of resolution. In addition, if you don't need the full 8K RAW, the R5 Mark II has a special SRAW mode, which gives you the ability to record 4K RAW at 4096 by 2160, while still using the full width of the full-frame sensor. As their names suggest, standard and light RAW differ by their file sizes, with light offering a significantly reduced data load. Perceptually, both RAW options are very similar, but if you're capturing for a VFX or special effects heavy workflow, standard RAW would be your preferable choice. Additionally, included now are two new recording codecs, which were recently announced for our EOS C400 cinema camera, XF-AVCS and XF-HEVCS. XF-AVCS is an H.264 based .mp4 codec that offers recording options in both interframe and long op, from 10-bit 422 down to 8-bit 420. This is a standard codec that is easy to use, but also maintains the Canon RAW movie file name and its structure, as well as its metadata, making it perfect for use not only as your recording format, but also as a lower resolution proxy file to accompany your RAW files. XF-HEVCS is an H.265 based codec, which offers multiple bit depths and data rates, but it sizes nearly half of their H.264 equivalents. Like XF-AVCS, XF-HEVCS also comes in a .mp4 wrapper and carries over the file structure and metadata. Both codecs are viable solutions these days, with more options for hardware decoding of H.265 becoming readily available. So the decision should be made in deference to your desired workflow and computing power. These new codecs also share the file name and structure conventions with our Cinema EOS cameras, so mixing and matching files between the two systems is even easier now. One new and absolutely crucial addition to these cameras is the inclusion of proxy recording. Proxy recording is widely used in the film industry as a way to streamline post-production. It records a smaller resolution, lower bit depth file to the camera's second card slot during recording. With these more manageable files, you can begin editing and basic color correction right away, eventually creating an edit decision list, which will match back to your original RAW files. This saves so much time because you don't have to create proxies from your ingested files. They are ready to go at the same time as your original camera files. You can access proxy recording in the movie record options of the record function plus card/folder selection submenu. Yet another recording option is RAW output via both cameras' full-size HDMI connector. By turning HDMI RAW output to on, the R1 can send out 6K up to 60p, and the R5 Mark II can send 8K up to 30p to a compatible Atomos recorder, giving you a ProRes RAW workflow. Best of all, you can also record proxies to the camera's second card slot at the same time. Next up, we'll discuss resolution and frame rates. Both of these cameras can record up to 60p in RAW in their respective max resolutions, 6K in the R1 and 8K in the R5 Mark II. You also get the option of using either the DCI Cinema Standard aspect ratio of 17:9 or the broadcast standard of 16:9 in the non-RAW codecs. Furthermore, While using XF-AVCS and XF-HEVCS, you can capture 4K and 2K using the full width of the sensor, with maximum frame rates of 4K 120p and 2K 240p. When recording in these codecs, you can also choose from a fine recording mode for 4K and 2K recordings, which oversamples from the max resolution to give you a sharper image with less aliasing and moire at lower resolutions. A fine choice for those finishing in 4K or 2K and looking to get a little extra out of their image. If you want to use Canon RFS or EFS mount lenses, or Super 35mm cinema lenses, you can turn on the movie cropping mode found on the first page of the camera menu. This reduces the usable sense area to an APS-C sized area, which will match the image circles of those aforementioned lenses, so no vignetting will be seen. Another good use of this mode is for extending the telephoto reach of your current lens if full sensor width is too wide for a field of view. Be aware though, this mode only works in XF-AVCS and XF-HEVCS, contracting the resolution to 4K and 2K, and will limit your high frame rate options on the R5 Mark II. Now, something I really want to talk about is the ability to record audio at each of these cameras' max frame rates. This really allows you to maximize creative options in post by not only having usable audio at 120 and 240 frames per second, but by utilizing your video editing software to extract 24, 30, 60, or any other frame rate from the higher captured frame rate and having the correct audio to match. Remember, these frame rates are selectable from the normal main recording menu and are not a function of the camera's separate high frame rate menu option. If you do choose to enable the high frame rate mode, your footage will be recorded at the high frame rates of 4K 120 or 2K 240, but will be played back in camera at 30 FPS, showing you slow motion immediately. And audio will not be recorded in this mode. Now that I mentioned audio, for the first time in our DSLR or R series of cameras, we can record up to 4 channels of audio. You can access them via the internal scratch track mic, the 1/8" stereo input, or the multifunction shoe, which can offer 2 additional XLR inputs by way of the Tascam CA XLR2D, or utilize the Canon DM1ED stereo mic. All of this audio can be recorded now in squeaky clean 24-bit LPCM, or the traditional 16-bit AAC format. Also, coming to the R series for the first time is the ability to pre-record. Pre-recording is a common feature in broadcast cameras and has recently become a standard in cinema cameras, used especially in the documentary and wildlife industries. It places the camera in a state of always recording to a cache of internal memory. When you do push the record button, whatever is in that internal memory at the time will be laid down to your clip ahead of when you press the record button. This feature is extremely useful for capturing a live event, where the action may have occurred slightly before you're able to press record. For both the R1 and the R5 Mark II, you can choose either 3 or 5 seconds of video pre-record time. Just note that as your camera will always be recording, pre-record will contribute to your heat buildup and possibly lessen the overall recording time. This feature is also only available in XF-AVCS or XF-HEVCS. Speaking of overheating, the combination of a high resolution and fast sensor, extremely powerful in-camera processing, high frame rates, and CF Express cards creates a very hot working environment. With some redesign of the sensor block and heat evacuation system, we've been able to improve heat displacement and extend recording times within these new cameras. That said, there's still some limitations, so we've included a display that will show you in real time the temperature of the system and give you a warning when things are getting too hot. You can also raise the auto power off temperature to high, which would give you the maximum amount of recording time before the shutdown occurs. The R5 Mark II with its 8K sensor and small body will be more prone to internal heat buildup, so we're also offering the optional accessory cooling fan CF-R20EP. This item will accept 1 or 2 of the new Canon LPE6P batteries, has user-adjustable cooling fan speeds, and includes a 2.5G Ethernet port. This cooling fan battery grip can massively extend your shooting time of 8K up to 30p and 4K up to 60p. It's safe to say that with all these new features and refinements, the R series of mirrorless cameras are becoming much more viable options for professional digital cinema and broadcast productions. For more information, please visit our website or contact your preferred Canon dealer. I'm Paul Hawxhurst, and I thank you for joining us.